Okay, here is part 2 of the diffusion osmosis lab explained. Should have probably just explained this with a video in the first place, but again, I appreciate your patience on that. So the first thing you need is your dialysis bag. It looks like a piece of plastic, basically, and it could be crumpled up in the bottom of your bag and be very hard to find. But yeah, it's just a little piece of plastic. This is not a wrapper from something else. This is your dialysis tubing. You are also going to need a couple of containers. You're going to need your cornstarch. I didn't give myself cornstarch, so I'm going to use cornstarch from my kitchen. You will need iodine. You will need our test tubes from the first part of the experiment. And you will need water. I am using a glass, but I would recommend you could probably just use the sink. So let's look at the instructions really quick. It says you need to take a picture of your setup. Don't throw anything away before you have one. Probably don't throw anything away ever, realistically. But it says pre-soak a dialysis bag in a cup of water. So here I have my cup of water. I'm just going to plop it into here. We're going to let that soak for just a few minutes. While the bag is soaking, prepare the starch solution by adding a half of your small starch container to about 32 mils of water. And I don't have my little container, so I'm just going to use a half of a spoonful here. That should be more than enough. And it says 32 mils of water, and so what that means is I've got my bowl of starch. I'm just going to add 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these test tubes, about 32 milliliters. And we're just going to mix that up best we can. Again, I'd recommend doing this at your sink, not at your desk. So we're just going to mix this until I don't see any chunks anymore, until this is pretty much fully dissolved. Oh, and I forgot, we are going to need one more thing. We are going to need a pipetter. Or I guess more accurately, a transfer pipette. That looks like this. It is the little straw looking thing with the squeeze tube on the end. So once you've got that all mixed up, got our starch so there aren't really any more chunks left here. It says, yeah, you can weigh the starch if you want. That's fine. You just need about half of it in there. So now that we've got this prepared, I'm going to fish my dialysis bag, my dialysis tubing out of the water. And now that we've pre-soaked it, you should be able to work it back and forth with your fingers until you're able to actually get this end open like that. I'll do it on the other side again so you can see. I just kind of work it with my fingers. It might take a little effort. It's more of a technique thing. You don't need to rip these or anything, but just work it back and forth like this until you actually get one end open. So we've got our one end open. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and pre-wet the inside just to make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to get my pipetter here. I'm going to squeeze it in the water, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some water in here just to make our lives easier in a minute. Putting some water through here. Okay. All right, we've got our bag, we've got it open, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to just roll this like that. And if you have your string, you can tie this end off. If you've lost your string, bag clips, document clips will work just fine. All we need to do is make sure that this end of our bag is sealed. All right. So now we've got this end of our bag sealed, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to fill this up with the starch solution that we had made. No wonder no one knew what was going on. This is kind of a process, isn't it? Okay, so I've got my starch solution mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and grab my transfer pipette. It should look really milky inside of there. And I am just going to put, how much did I say? Add starch solution. So I'm going to put 1, 2, I don't know, we'll put 3 in. Yeah, we could do 4, why not? Okay. Bag looks something like this. Okay, it says tie one end of the bag, add starch solution with a pipette, and then tie the other end with string. Again, I'm just going to kink it. Even if you're using string, you should probably kink it too. Let me get some of the air out of here. Not super important. I'm just going to kink it, turn the end, put my other bag clip right here. Feel free to use string. All we need to do is just make sure that this thing is sealed. Okay, here, let me show you this bigger screen. All right. Our starchy solution in here. Got our bag clips sealing both ends. If you do this over a sink, but make sure if you have string or bag clips or whatever, just make sure that nothing's going to come out of here. The next thing that you're going to want to do is clean this thing off. So I have a cup of water, but you can use the sink and just pour it over the top. Basically what you want is if there is any starch on the outside of this bag, you want to wash it off. There really shouldn't be any at this point, but in case you did spill, give it a quick rinse. Okay, and it says put this into a glass. So I'm going to put mine right there. And then pour in just enough water to cover the top of this thing. Shouldn't take a lot. And I can see I have starch contamination, so I'm going to just go ahead and pour my water out and then try one more time. So again, just enough water to cover the top. And the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add iodine to this. You just need enough iodine to make this turn like a light amber color. I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. And so I don't think this is enough iodine just yet. Just the bag to mix it. So I'm going to add a couple more drops. Okay, so here is, get this full screen. I added maybe a little bit too much iodine, but that's all right. So that is, try not to pour this on myself. That is what my my setup looks like so far. Okay, so here I have, this is just water from the sink. We'll see what a negative control looks like. This is a negative control because there's no starch in here, right? So we just add a few drops. No real color change. Just looks like iodine. The next thing I'm going to do, now that I have my negative control down, you'll need to take a picture of that, is I'm going to go ahead and just grab, I'm going to get my pipette, my transfer pipette here, and I'm going to get some of this starch solution. Just fill it up. And we're going to use this to see a positive control. We're going to see what a positive control for iodine looks like. It's starting to turn this black color. So this is positive for iodine. You can see it's that dark blue black. This is negative for iodine. You can see it's just kind of this amber color. Okay, and what we're going to do, what we're going to observe is it possible for iodine to get through our semi-permeable membrane? Is it possible for iodine to get through that dialysis tubing? Because remember, in this experiment, the dialysis tubing is like an analog for your cells. Okay, it's got that water can come in and out, but certain other things can't. We're going to see if iodine can get through that. We're also going to see if starch can get through that. So think about what it means if the water in your experiment turns black. And also think about what it means if the starch solution inside of your bag begins to turn black. Let's look at the lab really quick. I think that pretty much covers it. Okay, so positive control. Definitely use a test tube for positive and negative controls, just because you don't want to accidentally be consuming this. And so now we just have to wait with this thing submerged. We're down here at step 6 for 45 minutes. Carefully remove the bag from the water, being cautious not to spill. Record the color of the water and the contents of the dialysis bag in the table below. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, let me know if you guys have any questions about this. I will see you online. Almost forgot, one more thing. Make sure that after you've reacted your bag for 45 minutes, it maybe won't look like anything has happened, but just make sure you turn the bag over and look at the bottom side, because that could be where the reaction is actually taking place.